a drug that is little talked about. In fact, in medical circles, it seems to be like a little secret that not a lot of people are talking about because of restrictions and regulations. But the medicine is Leronlimab. And we've featured it. We've talked to Dr. Randy Nicolas last April, and we discussed the medicine and the potential of the medicine. This morning, we will be able to discuss with the people involved with the company and the development of the medicine, namely Mr. Nader Purhassan, Director, President, and CEO of CytoDyn, the company that is developing Leronlimab. We will also be speaking with Dr. Christopher Reckner, Chief Operating Officer and Head of the Clinical Development of CytoDyn, who himself, if I am not mistaken, used the medicine or was given the medicine when he became infected with COVID-19. Last but not the least, we will also speak with Dr. Harish Sitham Raju, Medical Director, Mount Sinai Lung Transplantation Program, regarding the medicine because while he is not involved with the company CytoDyn, he has handled patients who have been given the medicine Leronlimab. But before we go into that, we will also, after we go into that, we will circle back to the Philippines and speak with Dr. Richard Randy Nicolas, Associate Professor of Surgery at UPPGH. And our feature also will be, excuse me, Mr. Mitch Ochoa, former COVID-19 patient who used Leronlimab and has since recovered. Just a qualifier here. There are several people in the country who have used Leronlimab. President Joseph Estrada reportedly, allegedly is said to have been given Leronlimab, which explains his miraculous recovery from ICU back to a normal room, back to his house in, I think, in Polk Street. So those are the things we will touch on. But before we do that, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star for the headlines. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año warns local executives that they can face charges if violations of health protocols take place within their jurisdictions. Año says local officials may face both criminal and administrative cases, and as such, they urge local government units to be strict in implementing health protocols. Even with more than 7,100 new COVID cases recorded in the country yesterday, Opta Research says the rate of new cases in the National Capital Region or Metro Manila continues its downward trend. From May 1 to 7, the average cases in Metro Manila was at over 2,300. And Octo says this could go below 2,000 by the end of this week. And finally, even with the modified enhanced community quarantine up in Metro Manila and nearby provinces, the Interagency Task Force or IATF says it's willing to further open some industries. This as the need to stimulate the economy becomes more pressing as the government seeks to fight hunger and to allow more people to work. So that's all good news there. Now, being late this morning, I'm going to have to just jump into our interview. First, allow me to introduce our guests as they come in. Dr. Nader Purhassan is Director, President, and CEO of CytoDyn, the company which owns the patent of Leronlimab. He finished his master's in science at Brigham Young University and earned his PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Utah. Dr. Christopher Reckner is Chief Operating Officer and Head of Clinical Development at CytoDyn. He is actually a COVID-19 survivor himself and a patient treated with Leronlimab for COVID-19 long haulers. Interesting point for Dr. Reckner is that he served as principal investigator in over 100 clinical trials for numerous global pharmaceutical companies. And finally, we have Dr. Harish Sitham Raju, Medical Director of Mount Sinai Lung Transplantation Program in New York. He is also professor for pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine. He is not affiliated with CytoDyn but has treated patients with Leronlimab under the US FDA Emergency IND program. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the program agenda. Wish you were here so you
Morning.
could experience the beauty of the Philippines. Let me start. I'm going to be guessing, but I suppose the gentleman on the upper right corner would be Dr. Purhasan. Is that you, Nader?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. And below me is Dr. Harish Sitham Raju. Is that correct, Harish?
That's correct.
Okay, and Dr. Christopher Reckner below Dr. Nader. Okay, gentlemen, welcome to the program. Nader, and I hope you don't mind. I just want to keep it very informal. I wish you could all lose the suits, but hey, we're here. anyway, CytoDyn is a small company. Took you 200 million. Took you 5 years to raise $200 million. And bingo, you have what is potentially a miraculous medicine because it's supposed to treat HIV and now has the potential for cancer treatment and the potential for COVID treatment. Now, how did this happen?
So first of all, thank you for having me on the program and our team. Uh, in the past, this product was developed by Progenics Pharmaceutical, top brilliant minds from MIT and Berkeley University developed this product. The product seems to be very fantastic HIV, and they developed it for HIV. But then once they got to the point where their other product was doing well, they sold this. And we were lucky for us to be able to buy it. We have raised about one 10 years, almost $500 million was raised to get the development going forward because we constantly get surprised. Now, why doesn't people know about this already? Why doesn't the scientific community know about this? Well, CCR5 is a receptor that was not studied very well with all the scientists in the last 50 years. When we came out, other pharmaceuticals, namely Pfizer, had a similar product, but it wasn't kills, has toxicity and sort of thing. So we went and got surprised that Pfizer and Big Pharma are saying that there might be indication of CR5, you might have indication in cancer, in NASH, and everything else. We did animal study. Our animal study in cancer showed 97% inhibition of cancer metastasis. Then we did NASH, animal study, 80% reduction in cancer. Our HIV already had a primary endpoint with FDA. We're about to get our BLA, biologic license application, final application for final approval. And that's when COVID came. And Dr. Sitham Raju, who's on the program, is the one that did all the studies and research and came back and told the FDA he wants leronlimab for his patients under emergency IND. FDA was supportive. They approved that, and the result was fantastic. We saw with the ex-president in the Philippines, thank God, the great news that we got, immediately provided for him, and we saw what happened. That happened to Dr. Sitham Raju's patients, and FDA in the United States worked with us very well. They gave us a phase 2, phase 3, and phase 3 results were fantastic in regard to saving patients' lives by about 82% just in the first 2 weeks. It happened to be 25% in the 4 weeks. We talk about those regulatory agencies, and they all said the number of patients for the population was only 62 out of 400. But
Okay.
you seem to have something. So
Yeah.
that's
There, if you don't mind, allow me to go to Chris because there's this atmosphere right now of debate, argument about this miracle medicines. I mean, like there's brouhaha going on right now regarding ivermectin, the antiparasitic drug, and the allegations that it is a good medicine for COVID-19. Now, Leronlimab, on the other hand, does not have any history for animal use. It has essentially been for human beings. Now, Chris, you've done a lot of clinical trials for a lot of multinational companies. What convinced you to get on board and get behind Leronlimab and be part of CytoDyn, aside from the fact that you used it yourself?
It's a good question, and thanks for having me. In the U.S. at the time when I got COVID, there was very little treatment. I had tried hydroxychloroquine, and it was not effective. I'd tried other agents just in terms of beta blockers. I ended up getting sick, and COVID wasn't that bad until about 4 to 6 weeks into it. And then I started having a lot of these symptoms that everybody else is having. In doing that, I ended up in the hospital 3 times, and the 3rd time I was given leronlimab. And within hours, I could feel my lungs loosening up. I was able to breathe better. And by the 2nd day, I was discharged. I no longer had brain fog. I no longer had headaches. I had felt like there was a tennis ball in the back of my head. That went away. My chest pain went away. My palpitations went away. And I continued on the med thereafter as an outpatient, but I felt fantastic. And so I committed to being involved to try to help other people, and first became involved with the CD10 mild moderate outpatient trial, and was more impressed with the drug there, and then later saw results from the hospitalized patients, whereby the patients in hospital got out 6 days earlier than if not treated with leronlimab compared to standard of care.
Now, how did that come about, Chris? Because from what I understand, leronlimab is not approved by the FDA. How was this arranged, engineered, or set up? Because that is exactly the same problem here in the Philippines.
So my doctor ordered it through an emergency use application, and that's how I was able to get it.
Okay, now you went on board this. Now, if you were compare leronlimab with everything that's out there, remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, etc., what's your take? Because one would imagine that in the United States, people would get behind a medicine that really works. I mean, your ex-president Donald Trump jumped behind hydroxychloroquine. How come no one's jumping and supporting leronlimab?
May I answer that question?
Yes, Nader, go ahead.
So, and Chris can weigh in, obviously. In the United States, the pandemic is not as bad anymore. But unfortunately, in other part of the world, that's not the case. As we can see, Brazil, they came to us, one of the big pharmaceuticals. We got to get moving. Now, all of these regulatory agencies, including the Philippines, they do look up to how the United States agencies reacting to the results. Their reaction was very simple. You have efficacy hypothesis to the critically ill population, give us more data. They have said that to all the pharmaceuticals. They have not done something different. And now we are producing that data, which should be around in 2 months or so. But Philippines, they were kind enough to say, hey, let's have compassionate special permit. That's why the ex-president didn't have any other medicine after they were in. They asked for leronlimab, and we made sure he gets it immediately. We jumped through a lot of hoops and got him the medication, along with other patients who we have hearing in the news. But in America, pandemic is just not as bad as the rest of the world. Chris, you want to add to that, please?
Okay. Dr. Harish, sorry, Chris, did you want to join in? Because I have a question for Harish.
No, that's fine.
Okay, Dr. Harish, you would stand out as the independent person in this interview because you're not part of CytoDyn. Now, you are a professor of medicine, if I gather right. You're an expert in transplantation, lung transplantation. What's your take on this? Why are you convinced, or why are you convinced that Leronlimab works? What's so special about this medicine?
So, in viral illnesses, most patients have problems because of the inflammation and injury that the organs suffer: lung inflammation, liver inflammation, and kidney failure. Leronlimab is a monoclonal antibody that acts at a level which not blocks a particular immunity or an inflammatory cycle, but modulates the response of the body, restores homeostasis, and also promotes immunity to fight the infection. I have used leronlimab in patients who have already received all US FDA approved medications, still were suffering and critically ill. And in that group of patients, I have seen dramatic results at different phases of the disease, usually in the later stages of disease when there is a lot of inflammation and uncontrolled immunity and inflammatory response of the body.
Is this, Harish, is this what they call the cytokine storm,
Yeah.
where the body's immune system attacks itself, unaware that it's also killing the body?
So cytokines primarily are mediators of inflammation, and that causes damage to the lung. And immunity regulates that response, and that regulation is also gone in the phase of severe critical illness. So leronlimab restores both the immune and inflammatory homeostasis. This we have published in the International Journal of Infectious Disease, and we have shown in the first few patients in the world who have received leronlimab for critical illness COVID how the inflammation comes down and the immunity improves.
Okay, now here in the Philippines, when the in various debates over miracle medicines or alternatives, the next question is always about side effects, and people are saying, well, there are adverse reactions, there are severe reactions. What's the history of leronlimab?
So let me just get these things and then they can go on. Uh, we have used this product on HIV patients who, for the first time, put away all their drugs that they were taking and only did a sub-Q injection once a week. And they have gone almost 6 years, and majority have gone at least 2 years in the extension trial. So the trial finished, they wanted to be on it. No safety signal was reported in any of these patients. Serious adverse events were less in the leronlimab arm in our last COVID-19 trial than it was in placebo. I mean, we reported that. We have a top-line report. Now, the safety of this product is not under question right now because we have shown 1,200 patients in cancer, in HIV, NASH, long haulers, and other COVID-19 populations. And we have seen a fantastic result. So the safety is really the strong position that we have with this product.
Okay, someone has told me that you guys have applied for FDA approval, and if the FDA approves your medicine, it's going to be a seller's market, meaning poor Philippines, if you don't have it now, you are never going to get it, just like the Pfizer vaccine, etc. What's the story on that, gentlemen?
So we never say we're not going to give to any country. Any country who would like to look at leronlimab under the regulatory laws and regulation, we're able to ship to them. But There is 1.2 million vials we have generated. We are a small company. It took us very difficult time for the last 3 years to transfer technology and get it to this point. We have 1.2 million vials. Cairo Pharmaceutical was very fantastic to come and say, let us get 200,000 vials dedicated to us without telling you that we're going to buy all of these. Let us just have that. And we were at 100,000 first, we agreed to 200,000. We gave 100 patients free so people can feel good that it's doing what we said, and if they don't feel good about it, then they don't take it. And we have allowed Cairo Pharmaceutical to get out of the contract anytime they want. There is no hardship if they want to move out of the situation. Brazil has done the same thing. We're working with India. We're working with other countries. We just being very honest with everybody. 1.2 million vials. If it finishes, then we have to go manufacture it, and that could be a few months of waiting. That's all we're saying.
Now, is there any country out there that has essentially embraced or opened the door for Leronlimab? Given, I mean, I would imagine that India, for one, would
Yes.
say, "Please step in because we can't handle the problem."
We are absolutely delighted what we're doing with India, and we hope to announce that very soon. We are a public company. We have to make a public announcement. And we started with India as soon as we saw the situation, and we are doing very similar things with India. We are moving forward with Albert Einstein Hospital in Brazil to do some more trials. Health Canada already told us, give us your interim order. So that's a big, package that we have to give for interim order, which is like emergency use authorization. So we gave our first package. Our last package should be in June. Then we should have results from them in July. But all the countries who we have approached, they are saying, yes, let's go forward. Some of them said, let's have more data. Some of them are saying, let's have compassionate use while you get your application in for EUA.
Okay, what's the situation with the Philippines then?
So the Philippines, we are filing the EUA immediately starting tomorrow. There was a lot of package that we have to put together. Our CMC had to be in right shape. We have to prove the Philippine FDA that this is GMP material, that the material is 100% safe, just like what we have to do with FDA in the United States. We have got all of those. There's like 180 different sections that we have to put together. So our little team has done that. Manufacturing is ready to go, non-clinical is ready to go, and the clinical, Chris Reckner is working on that, and hopefully we get that done very quickly.
Okay, if that is achieved, does that mean that you can actually pre-position Leronlimab? Because I understand at some point, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I read somewhere that you were willing to pre-position 200,000 vials of this, or was it 20,000 or 2,000? I don't know.
200,000, you're correct.
200,000 vials of Leronlimab pre-positioned in the Philippines once you get EUA?
So we have the 200,000 vials put aside right here in South Korea, actually, where Samsung, one of the top manufacturers, are manufacturing for us. We can't send a drug to Philippines unless Philippines allows us to send the drug and allow us to clear the custom. They recently allow us to go as much as 1,000 patients or 100 patients, per hospital. So the CSP, compassionate special permit, is for one patient at a time. They change it to hospitals can order 100 patients at a time. So we will send the vials as soon as we have order and the regulatory team at the government is allowing us to do so. If we get EUA, we can ship the whole 200,000 to Cairo Pharmaceutical for storage in Philippines.
Okay, we'll go for a quick break, gentlemen. When we come back, I'd like to ask you, Chris, regarding the multiple application or use of Leronlimab. And Harish, maybe I'd like to ask you on long-term COVID, because I have friends who are still bedridden after clearing the hospital, and the debate is, can they be given Leronlimab? We'll be right back after a quick break here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. You're watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250, as well as on Facebook.com/OneNewsPH and on YouTube. Just enter OneNewsPH. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Let's go back to our panel of doctors to educate us on this matter. Chris, I was going to ask you, uh, it's kind of, I don't know how to put it, but a medicine that's good for HIV, good for cancer, and potentially good for COVID-19. How did this happen? How is this possible?
So CCR5 is what the mechanism of what we work on. And in HIV patients have a lot of issues. One of them is fibrosis and fat in the liver. Another one might be coronary artery disease. And another you could look at would be early dementia issues. All of those have CCR5 application. And so we've learned from what happens with HIV patients to be able to apply that to other patients. So in the case of even in the case of long haulers, which you had mentioned that we're looking at, we have a study ongoing right now where we're looking at biomarkers. I was a long hauler patient and feel that leronlimab would work very well. I couldn't get remdesivir because it was after a 5-day period from where I had the infection. Like Dr. Zita Marju was saying, the medication works to restore the normal immune system. My immune cells were very reduced, and after taking the medication, they're now normal.
Okay, well, Dr. Harish, well, I've just called you Harish, if you don't mind. Harish, okay, we're talking long haul. It's that bad side of COVID that no one seems to be talking about in the Philippines. Everyone's happy to make it alive out of the hospital. But now I've got friends who are bedridden, and when I listened to the story, Chris said a word that rung a bell: fibrosis. It seems fibrosis is a factor to consider for patients, lung fibrosis, etc. What have you seen as far as the patients you've treated or managed, as far as leronlimab is concerned? How quickly does leronlimab deal with all of the complications?
That's a great question. In severe critically ill patients in who got leronlimab, they recovered without any scarring or fibrosis in their lungs, in their kidneys. These are lung transplant, liver, or kidney transplant patients. They are the highest risk. When they got leronlimab, they recovered without any permanent damage. The reason I think it happens is because leronlimab restores one's ability to repair, which is our native immune system and the immune balance that one needs to repair any damaged organ. That's why I feel even in long haulers, leronlimab, by restoring the immune balance, will help repair and help patients recover from the damage that COVID-19 virus has caused.
Okay, so in effect, what summarizing what Nader, Chris, and you, Harish, have said, leronlimab is not a COVID-19 medicine. It doesn't deal with COVID-19. It basically steps in the gap and blocks a trigger, or it's like a trigger guard of sorts when the, I don't know, what did you call it, Chris? CC something.
CCR5.
CCR5, it prevents CCR5 from going crazy and allowing the immune system to attack anything and everything, including the patient.
Yes.
Okay, now, so sorry to simplify it. Now, it looks like, hey, you got a great medicine. I've got a sister who's got breast cancer right now undergoing chemotherapy. I've had several friends who've died out of HIV, and I have even more friends dying of COVID-19. But the question is, can Filipinos afford uh, Leronlimab, or how do you justify? Because honestly, Nader, when they came out with remdesivir and I found out that it was like $3,000, I said, kiss that medicine goodbye. But apparently now it's down to 8,000 pesos, or roughly a hundred something dollars. What's the picture for Leronlimab?
So incorrectly, I think they reported that we were charging hundreds of thousands of dollars per patient, which that was not correct. We are charging, the minimum as we can, and we have told the agency and the Cairo Pharmaceutical, let us have the first 100 patient free so everybody can see. But we will match the prices of the drugs that are being provided in Philippines, and that Philippine government has felt comfortable with those prices. At the same time, we got to be careful to make sure that we don't get to the point where we can't survive. So we just want to make sure the company survives. We're not going to be outrageous, and the reports were kind of outrageous in regards to what we charge.
Okay, Chris, just a quick question, gentlemen, because I've got to go to our two other guests. But Chris, what would you tell doctors? Because you've had it, you're a COVID long hauler, and there is a resistance among doctors in the Philippines because, hey, it's not FDA approved. Hey, I don't want to take the risk. I'm going to have to be in the line of fire if things go to hell. What can you tell doctors in the Philippines, Chris?
So it's available by compassionate use now. And any patients that you have that are critical or in the hospital should get an opportunity to get this. In many cases, we've seen, despite remdesivir, despite dexamethasone or other treatments, this can work. And so give your patients a chance with it, is what I would say.
And
Harish, go ahead, Harish.
And I would say three things to the doctors who have any intention of using. If a patient is critically ill, you don't want to cause any more harm than what the patient is already going through. If that's the case, leronlimab is your choice because the safety in many trials that we have done with the medication, CD10, CD12, is absolutely great. Number two, it not only stops the inflammation, but also helps recover without any long-standing damage from the virus illness. And number three, it is easy to administer. It is a shot in the belly 1 week apart. One can take it at home. You may not even need to have the patient come into the hospital.
Okay, and you said 1 week apart, but for how long? Especially, Chris, in your case, you're a long hauler. How many shots did it take for you to get out of that situation?
So in the hospitalized patients, there's 2 shots apart that we did in our CD12 trial and CD10. And in our long haulers, we're using 8 weeks.
8 weeks, 1 shot per week.
Yes, but that's in the long hauler patients.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to end it here. I really wish we could carry on, but I've got 2 other individuals who are going to talk about the local experience and the local situation. But thank you for making the effort. I just realized it's Sunday evening there. I'm so sorry to spoil your Sunday dinners. Please enjoy the rest of the evening and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Okay, thank you. That's Dr. Hari. Okay, let me just go quickly, that's Dr. Naderpur Hassan, Dr. Christopher Reckner, and Dr. Harish Sidham Raju. And I just ruined or basically meddled with Mother's Day dinner for them. In any case, we'll go for a quick break. When we return, let's hear again from Dr. Randy Nicolas and from our patient who has survived and used Leronlimab, Mr. Mitch Ochoa. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250. Thank you for the subscribers of Signal, and thank you to all our viewers, whether on Signal or Facebook or our allies in the cable TV universe. Especially thank you to our viewers in the United States and other parts of the world. Okay, let's go to our next set of guests. We have with us once again Dr. Richard Randy Nicolas, a cardiac surgeon and associate professor of surgery at the UPPGH. He is also a member of the Concerned Doctors and Citizens of the Philippines. And joining him will be Mitch Ochoa, who was a severe COVID-19 survivor. He was treated at home due to gradual deterioration of his lung function despite antivirals and steroids, and he eventually regained appetite, got his stamina back, and his lung function improved. Randy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cito. Thank you again for inviting us.
Mitch, good morning to you. You are looking
Good
pink,
morning.
pink of health. How are you doing now, Mitch?
I'm okay now. I feel a lot better. I'm starting to work out slowly to regain my strength. I also do my lung exercises regularly.
Good for you. Okay, when exactly did you get COVID-19?
I got this last month. April 1 was the first day of my symptoms.
Okay. Oh, you were one of those April Fool's Day victims. I heard
Yes.
of a number of people who got COVID-19 on April Fool's Day, and it was not a funny situation. But how bad did it get for you, Mitch?
I got severe pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
It started on April 1, and then on around April 10, I needed O2 support. I had trouble breathing already.
Mm-hmm.
I was using 6 tanks a day of oxygen, and I was really having a hard time breathing.
Okay.
And I was really bedridden.
Yeah, did you feel at any time that okay, I better say I love you to my mom, dad, and whoever, and say sorry because I'm probably going to kick the bucket already?
Yeah, I felt that. I was praying really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared for my life, and I was thinking of my kids also.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now, Mitch, you were treated at home, is that correct?
Yes.
How come? Why did that happen? I would presume that everyone goes to the hospital.
The hospitals were full at that time.
So you were managed by your physician at home.
Yes.
Okay.
We
Was
were doing
Randy?
Zoom conference every day.
Okay. Now, was Randy part of your
Yes.
medical team?
Yes.
Okay. Well, lucky for you, because
Yeah.
I have friends who got severe COVID, and I almost want to. Well, I shouldn't say this, but there were days I wanted to talk to their doctors at gunpoint because they were all resistant to options. They wanted to follow protocol and standard. Randy, this was this coincidence, or do you see this as a breakthrough moment that Mitch got COVID-19 and you happen to be around and you happen to be associated, or known to be a believer in Leronlimab?
Yes, I guess it was fortunate that the circumstances that developed resulted in Mitch getting the Leronlimab at the quickest possible time. There are some patients, in fact, that we applied for CSP, and they eventually passed away before the drug even arrived. So it was quite fortunate for Mitch to be able to have received the leronlimab at the most opportune time, because I had seen the progress of Mitch evolving into a severe case, and I immediately, while he was still in a technically in a mild moderate, I already applied for leronlimab for him. We were trying steroids and antivirals on him, and it didn't seem to work. His entire family recovered quite quickly, but I saw the pattern of evolvement into severe in Mitch's case. So we applied for leronlimab quite early. So we were able to give him just at the time that he had needed it. But he had already entered a severe phase of the disease.
Okay, I'm concerned about what you said because that has always been a bone of contention. How soon you get the medicine? I know in the case of leronlimab, it has to come all the way from the United States. You need to apply for a compassionate special permit, and which takes anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, depending on whether you have a congressman or a cabinet member behind you. And by the time you get the CSP, you have to send it to America, who then has to send the medicine to their partner here, or their agent, or whatever distributor here. That's You're talking about 4 to 5 days or a week in total. How quickly did you move and decide that, hey, let's do the leronlimab option?
Yes, when I saw Mitch's symptoms evolving into severe, even before he required any oxygen support, I had already committed to a CSP filing with our FDA, and we were able to get approval within 48 hours, as they had stated, and the drug was shipped immediately. I believe the turnaround time for leronlimab in Mitch's case was approximately 6.5 days, just under a week.
Okay, now you said earlier that other patients did not make it. The medicine arrived, but by the time it arrived, the patients were dead. So there has to be a guideline, or a timeline to follow here. So what? The minute a patient starts requiring oxygen, you start thinking leronlimab.
That's a very good question. Quite a difficult question also to answer, Sito. But let me try. Let me try my best. It will always depend on how the patient evolves and the rapidity at which the patient evolves. If the patient goes into severe within a few days of contracting, of developing viral symptoms, then maybe then maybe the progression into critical might be also as quick. Then in those cases, we might not have time to request for a CSP. That's the reason why it's important that the hospital that they're in actually has an institutional CSP for at least 100 patients. That will be able to get the drug available for them. In short of that, in cases where you're admitted to a hospital that does not have an institutional CSP in place, then it really depends on the doctor's ability to identify the progression into the immunologic phase of the disease. Because basically, if you your previous interviewee, Sito, was Dr. Sitam Raju. You know, he
Yeah.
was the first one ever in the entire world to recognize the value of CCR5 blockage in the immune system, in the immunologic phase of the disease. He was the first one to use it for COVID. And and when you enter the immunologic phase, this is the phase wherein the leronlimab really has a lot of benefit for the patient. Uh, we will be able to save, Sito, I'm very confident that we will be able to save as many patients as possible if we institute leronlimab early enough, even before they enter immunologic phase of the disease.
Okay, Mitch, I've had severe pneumonia in my lifetime, and it wasn't funny. I was having how do you call it? I was already delusional or something like that, whatever. When you got into severe COVID, and they told you, Mitch, we're going to use leronlimab. Did it even register? Did you even care what they were giving you? Or were you at that stage where, will you just stick it in my belly and let's get it over and done with? And how fast was the recovery?
Well, I was given my first dose on the 14th, April 14th, and
That was my
on
birthday.
on the night of April 14th, and
Believe.
I self-injected actually,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and uh, on the next day when I woke up, I saw a very drastic improvement. My heart rate was high before I was given my first dose. So the next morning, it normalized. It went down from 100 to around 70, which was my normal heart rate.
Yeah.
And 24 hours after the next day, um, I I also on that first day, my breathing was improving, and on 24 hours after, my O2 sat was started improving also.
Yeah, from how bad of an oxygen saturation level were you, and in 24 hours, how high did it go up?
Uh, on my worst O2 sat was it went as low as 70 to 75,
Oh,
and
okay.
and on the night I got my first dose, it was around 85 to 86, and then 24 hours after, it went up to around 91.
Well, I mean, 91. Hey, that's almost as good as mine, considering you were bedridden. Now, you said you self-injected. Are you by a nurse by any chance, or was
No,
it simply because you were a COVID-infected person and no
yes,
one could come near you?
yeah. On that day, uh, I had to self-inject. So uh, my doctors guided me via Zoom.
Mhm.
So I extracted it from the vial and self-injected on my tummy.
Okay, well, no big deal actually, because while some viewers might say, "Hey, he shouldn't have done that," ladies and gentlemen, there are so many people who self-inject insulin. There are many people who extract their own blood, and I inject pigs, chickens, and name it, I do it. So if Mitch had called me, I would have done it. But in any case, I'm happy to see that you've recovered, Mitch. Do you have any long-term, long hauler symptoms?
None.
Okay.
I feel normal already.
Okay, that's great. But last question. I hope I'm not stepping on a landmine here. Uh, did it cost you to? Did it end up with you having to sell your cars or stuff like that? Because
Uh,
there's some rumor. Some people are spreading the rumor that it costs so much money.
no.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll leave it at that. You don't want to say how much you've had to pay for it.
May I
But it did.
answer?
Go ahead,
May I
Randy.
add little Cito? Actually, Mitch is quite fortunate because he was one of the few beneficiaries of the first 100 doses that were given for free.
Okay,
So
okay.
because Mitch is one of the first patients to ever receive leronlimab in the Philippines.
So
I believe he was the fourth.
hindi lang China ang namimigay ng bakuna, pati CytoDyn namimigay din ng pangtawid buhay, ligtas buhay, as you would say in Tagalog.
For the first 100 patients, yes. We
Okay,
did it
well,
for free.
well, that's
It
impressive.
was generous on their part, yeah.
Okay, well, that's impressive. And please, Randy, let me know if you get any clues regarding the emergency use authority that CytoDyn. I understand they're going to apply tomorrow or this evening, U.S. time. They're going to send the application to the Philippines. Let us know. And if there are any other patients there, Randy, Mitch, because you're the only one who seems to be, convinced enough and brave enough to go out public and say, that the medicine worked.
Yeah, it really works.
Okay, so I hope that there are other patients who will step up and let us know, because that's the only way we can at least justify or substantiate the efficacy of leronlimab. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to end it here. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Mitch, this is your second life. I pray that you are going to spend the rest of it honoring God, serving God, and truly loving your family, because you and I have that in common. I am a cat with maybe down to 3 lives left. Okay, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Randy, and God
Thank you,
bless you
Tito.
both.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Mitch Ochoa and Randy Nicolas speaking to us on the local experience regarding leronlimab. Ladies and gentlemen, just in case there are naysayers there who are saying, Cito, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be promoting. I am not promoting the medicine per se, but I am putting the information out there, because whatever options we have, it should be made available to all of us, because our lives matter. Sa Amerika nga, meron silang Black Lives Matter. Ano pa yung Filipinos? Filipino lives matter. We need the vaccines, we need the medicines, and we need to have an open mind and a support from policymakers. God bless all of you. I'm Cito Beltran. May the Lord take care of you and your loved ones this week. Have a good day. Have a great week.